Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. So we're doing a kind of video and just trying to get everybody in the same kind of mindset I'm in and understanding the current state of the chain, where it's heading and what's realistically going on and where you can draw the kind of roadmap from and where this is kind of heading currently. We're going to be covering a few different things during this video, so get your drinks, buckle up and get ready for the ride. So I have got this PowerPoint together, and sorry about the lack of just content right now, folks. Trying to balance life, work, and then obviously being here. It's not something that we earn anything from, if that does that make sense? We don't earn anything from this. In fact, I just get a hefty tax addition from everything that I'm doing currently. So just trying to balance everything out and trying to get enough done externally so I can be here internally. Now, the current heading, we've got a few different things that are going on. We've got the official LUNC websites coming forward, the official document system, which is coming forward. We've got a united vision approach, and I'm going to be diving more into this as to how you can realistically look at what this kind of approach brought forward. We've got the dynamic commission being implemented very soon. That update's going to be happening on the 20th of this month. That is 3 days from now. You've got the gas and tax overhaul, you've got the pay per job system, and then you've got this bonus reward correction, which is more like correcting the whole system to begin with, because the system itself, right, is its logic and the whole thing was built on a system that crashed, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that's changed, which is happening now and didn't happen before. And one of the kind of examples I can give you on this is USTC commission wasn't distributed to you as staking rewards. It wasn't part of the system whatsoever in that way. It was all to do with the mint to burn, swapping to get the UST at the time. So with the site and documents, now this is really important because the L1 team, they are currently engaged in optimizing both the document system and the website system, and recognizing that this is a pivotal role in the whole system and just in enhancing efficiency and really getting a direct lane of communication which people can just go grab and sort of be up to date on things. I think this is really important. Now, the document system, to people who are just holders, right? You're not creating a project, you're not running a validator, you're just simply staking. These document systems don't really mean much to you, but they're rather substantial for anybody wanting to come and launch on our chain, because they can get all of the information they need from it. For example, APIs for any kind of update systems, and we need the correct document system which correlates with our blockchain and it is tailored for our blockchain. And that's always been an issue. Even the Swagger system is very outdated at this point. And by Swagger, I just mean, like, if you want to ask the blockchain something, you would use a Swagger code, and you can get that normally from the document system. And you can ask the chain, okay, how many coins are circulating? And it's a really effective system. It's something that you can learn to use if it was there. Now, with the document system becomes very, very high communication, and the ability to just simply go, well, we've covered this in the document system. This is what it states officially. This is how the system is. Because a lot of people will think maybe the market module's still in place, still working. Well, with our new document system, we can completely rule this out. We can tell people that, hey, the minting's switched off and you're going to need to do this instead of that because we've changed this, whereas we just don't have those kind of things. But moving forward, the L1 are working very hard on this situation, and I believe this to be coming to fruition at some point before the end of the year. Now, with this whole sort of expedition, a united vision, it was all about spurring the people around us in the blockchain who are developers. Instead of them sitting there and thinking to themselves, oh, how can I make things better? How can I do this? Maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. Instead, just sort of putting something up and going, hey, look, if you want to grab something from this united vision, then go for it. And we've seen multiple people grab from this. We've even seen people like Hexagon take stuff from this, which is interesting to say the least. Now, Straff, Frag, people like that, you can see if you correlate with the enhancement for payment for development teams, you can see this is being totally solved with the pay per job module until the road to better tools are readily available. And we'll sort of be going over that at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Now, you've got the endpoint infrastructure cost reduction that was dealt with when I put forward my proposal, which is more or less just an ultimatum to show that, hey, we don't actually need to pay any of these people, don't pay anyone, and the system still remains the same. And as per what I said, the system is fine, it's flourishing, and it's doing quite well. The community pool's building back up, and we don't have all of these crazy payments going out for stuff we simply don't need to pay for. So the dynamic commission module, Frag has covered this. This is getting implemented on the 20th. I know, absolutely crazy, right? And this, it does so much, and we'll be getting onto that. You've got the dynamic tax approach, which is coming down to a rework of the implementation of burn tax to lower barriers. With all of this being said, right, the United Vision is almost played out at this point, and the things that are left on there are very kind of, other than the voluntary KYC, KYD system, they're either readily available through other means, or they're very small, like just adding in a link to the Commonwealth on station is something that's very simple, and we can do that in V3. So the dynamic commission, LUNC has encountered challenges stemming from centralized voting power, evidenced by the Nakamoto coefficient of 3 at present. So recognizing the need for a remedy was key. Okay, and this DCM has been devised to address and rectify the concerns comprehensively. So what this is going to do is more or less just serve everybody. It's not going to benefit the top 10 validators anymore. It's going to be a situation where it's very, very, it will foster in a nice environment for all validators that are inside the active set, I think is the best way to look at this. But it is strategically designed to enhance participation. So validators will need to be more active. They'll need to pay attention to what's going on around them, what's going on with voting powers, and what people are trying to do to sort of secure delegates moving forward. Because delegating on LUNC, in my opinion, you should really support people who are giving their time as much as they can to this blockchain at all times, you know, showing up every day, putting things forward and doing all of these different kind of things, because those validators are the ones that are going to keep returning to the chain. They're going to keep providing stuff, and they're going to keep pushing forward with it. And that's so important to recognize that that is really the kind of environment we want to foster in, because we've got a lot of rent-seeking validators. That much we know. Now, with the paid per job system, okay, this whole idea of this is removing this aspect of just going, well, here's 3 months pay up front and hopefully we get something done. It won't work like that anymore. It will be working towards getting a payment, and instead of having this real kerfuffle, and you'll be streamlining development. A group of gurus, for example, Frag, Straff, people like that can get together and go, right, these are the tasks we've got for the next 2 months. Let's break them down. Let's get prices attached to them, and let's get it out there. And then instantly developers can jump on it. And we can have developers externally, as long as we've got a good internal L1 team that is behind the repository doing the PR requests and checking things and doing merges. By no means is this going to be a seamless sort of system. It's going to require someone who we trust greatly. For example, people who are tried and tested. They understand the system. They know the complications. They know the ins and outs of this chain, because bringing in someone externally to do something like that, you're going to run into complications where they just don't know the history of the blockchain. And with that comes really substantial risks. So the gas and tax overhaul. This is something that is going to better our blockchain for the indefinite future. And the reason why is any project that wants to come here and build, the fees are just so high and the taxes are just so high. Nothing is worth it. You're losing money just by coming and launching on this chain at this point. And the gas and tax overhaul should alleviate that situation by crunching it all down. It doesn't change anything. We've been through this in a previous video. You can go back and check. I'll leave a link to this at the end of the description, so I'm not going to go too deeply into it, because you can just go back to that video. But this is so important for us moving forward. Coming from someone who's got multiple projects, multiple modules, auto compounding systems and airdrop systems and all these different kind of things, this is exactly what we need, because the taxes are mostly correct, right? But the issue is they're not implemented in a manner where it is fair. Instead, like, you could be taxed 6-7 times depending on what you've got to do with things, and it gets very complicated. This is going to decomplicate things and package it up with a nice bow, a nice new color, and say, hey, look, we fixed things. correcting this system. This is really important. Like I was saying at the beginning of this video, right? The system's built on Luna and UST, and it needs overhauling from the top to the bottom. It's not something we can just fix. And that's coming from someone like me who's on both sides of the fence, so to speak, like developers and projects and validators and the community. It's not something we can fix overnight. In fact, we've got to come up with all sorts of different kind of logic to become net green. And what I mean by net green, right, is all of the pools start becoming replenished. We're not depleting resources, we're actually gaining resources. There's only so much out there, right? So you can't borrow from one area to pay another and end up having to... It's one of those situations where you can't raise taxes to try and balance things out. It doesn't work like that. The whole system needs to be looked at, and things need to be tried, tested, new logic, new ways to fund things, because unless the market module is going to make some huge comeback all of a sudden, there are no ways of funding realistically everything, because guess what? We've got a burn tax. So everything that we're burning, right, that would probably be the best way to get towards becoming net green, is actually halting burning from the chain. And instead, what you would like to see is incentives pop up, kind of like what happens with Shiba Inu and other coins like Pepe, where the community do find ways to burn and they do all of these different things. And it really does drive the incentive behind it, right? It gets people active and doing things. And I think this is really important. But going back to this idea of net green is, I think it's a good term. And the reason why I say this is because that's what we all want to see. We want to see the system in a green state where it's doing well and everything's going up and the pools and all of that kind of stuff, right? But there are challenges that are ahead with all of this. So like I said, it's not going to be something that you can just change overnight. And we've got so many people that are kind of making a mountain out of a molehill 2, 3, 4, 5 years before it's even going to become a huge problem. And it's no good being one of those people that are sort of spreading fear and fear mongering, because ultimately, right, anybody, and I mean anybody, can come and work on this chain. Anybody. The difference is a lot of people will not come and work on this chain unless they're being paid up front. And that's a big issue, right? It's always going to be a big issue. And that's what the pay per milestone, it brings a middle ground in. There's so many good things coming. And like I said, this unified approach is really what has set things aside recently. From my perspective, it gave Frag the ability to pick something up. It gave Strafe the ability to pick something up. It got the community to get behind something and push things forward. We got validators saying, you know, what a great idea this is really going to change things. And like I said, it's all about doing these things slowly and surely and correctly, and not trying to run before we can even like tiptoe. It's very important that we do everything correctly instead of just going head and tail straight into something and smashing things up like a bull in a china shop. Real smart collaborative movements between real smart minds, because as much as people want to act like it's really simple to just fix everything, it's not. Because like I said, you've got to take from one area to pay another area to do this, to do that. There's not that many resources available, and the chain's been depleted non-stop by USTC repeg after USTC repeg and all of these different things. But what comes next is quite important, and what I think the community wants to see is some kind of collaborative team be put forward, a roadmap be put forward, and possibly looking to what we've been speaking about on this channel and a lot of other people are picking up on now, is this whole enterprise situation. We could follow this route. We've seen Chris Amani outright state anybody can come and get this sort of situation where we can utilize and use all of those tools. Because if we do follow that route, right, it shouldn't be too complex on the development side if you've got the right minds behind it. And with the United Vision approach, all of these different things, I'm quite positive we can reach this stage. The route of shadowing a chain like Luna to get access to tools that everybody else in the cosmos is going to be trying to get access to is quite important, because it leaves us in a position where we have a heading, we have a roadmap, we have an idea of where we're going, what the end result, what tools we're going to get from this. It's rather bullish at that point. And then everybody else on chain can start to focus on shipping the product out, building their projects out and building their NFT projects out and doing all these amazing things and really pushing the development side of things community wise, instead of everybody just being centrally focused on everything being down to what the L1 team are doing and this, that, and the other. Instead, we see all of these amazing sort of games and metaverses be spun up. And I know it's kind of, I think blasé is the word to, like, it's very cynical to say this, but ultimately gaming is huge. And if we're not willing to dive into that side of things, then what kind of blockchain are we at this point? We should never say never to anything, in my opinion, unless it's a rug pull, unless it's a scam, and unless it's cost this chain millions of dollars, then obviously it's a good idea. But, with all this being said, folks, I hope this kind of gets your mind in a better space of where this is all sitting, what's being worked on, what's coming up, what developments going on. I think there's so many whispers in the background of people trying to spread fear of there's no developers, there's nothing happening. There's so much happening. There's more happening now than there's happened in the past year and 6 months. There's so much going on. And what I think is lacking right now is a good relay of information that people can rely on, people can trust, because there's not a lot of people like myself who are going to spend the time, right, to be here for you and not bundle you down with sort of all of the crazy stuff a lot of these YouTubers do. But yeah, it's all substantial stuff. And what I think is there's going to be something really, really good happening in the next week to 2 weeks moving forward, because we've got V3 coming. We've got all of these different updates coming. We've got the dynamic commission module getting put into play. We've got the tax. There's so much going on. It's hard to keep track of everything at this point. But that's all I've got for you today, folks. Stay safe, stay humble, stay aware. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.